Welcome back to CrossFitted, your wide open moto podcast. I'm your host, Eric Nichols, and man, do we have a lot to unpack from round two at San Diego. But first, let me welcome my co-host back again. Justin, let's start off with you. Welcome back, Justin.
What's up, guys? It's the return of the Mac. We'll jump to it early. I'm already stating it. He's back.
Yep, yep. And then back again, James. What's up, James?
Going on? Big week in San Diego. Got a lot to cover, like you said, Eric.
Absolutely. Well, before we get into the racing, let's talk about the developing stories, heading into this weekend. So Marchbanks was out. Sounded like he had a concussion, didn't pass a protocol. Sounds like he will be back this week. And then, we had Freckle. He ended up getting hurt during the qualifying. I haven't actually seen any update with him as far as if he's doing all right. Looked pretty nasty. And then Forkner, he was kind of a game time decision. Looks like he ended up going down early, and then he tried to come back, but they just kind of held off. But he should be back next week too. But that's just kind of a little bit of shakeup. Already we're seeing riders go down. Obviously, Benny Bloss went down. I think it was half a lap in the sight lap at A1. So we already have guys going down, and the season's barely even getting kicked off. But as we always do, boys, let's talk about this track layout. Had some pretty interesting sections, right? It had that right-handed turn. Was pretty early to throw that in there. That whoop section actually was pretty sick. Short lap times. It was actually a lot more running than what we saw at A1. But Justin, we'll start off with you. What do you think of the San Diego track?
I think the track was actually pretty sick. I think that whoop section, there's a bunch of different lines in it. So if you're fast blitzing the whoops, you could get through that. And then the guys that were jumping on and off, like that's sketchy. It doesn't seem like a lot of pop to get up on top of that tabletop to get over. But I think ultimately the track was raced pretty good as well. It seemed like I know some people said it was one line, but I felt like there's a lot of people that were making mistakes just because I think the dirt, like a lot of them said, was a lot tackier and a lot ruddier than they expected.
Well, I will tell you, I mean, there were a lot of passes that we saw all night long. We'll talk about what Sexton was able to do in half a lap, but there definitely was some separators. And, James, yeah, that whoop section with a table in the middle was cool, but it seemed like, either route was going to be about the even. But, I mean, it turned out to be some pretty good racing, I thought.
Yeah, I mean that whoop section was sick, and even like Justin said, there was multiple lines you could go through there. But I thought through the other side of the track, through the rhythm sections, there was mad other lines that could be taken through the rhythm, like double in or triple in, whatever you're doing. Everyone seemed to be taking a little bit different line and creating a little more speed for whatever they were feeling. So all in all, I like the track, and it was good raceability on it.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised, right? We talked about the triple at A1. Justin said he'd remove it, and come to this track, there was no triple. The finish line was a triple, then they knocked it down, but we didn't see any triples in this track. Made for some good racing. Also, no sand, which is surprising. Last year it seemed like every track basically had a sand section in it, which going into A2, we'll talk about that layout, but it has some sand in it. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the track was pretty good. It looked great all day long. Qualifying was competitive. The 250s were swapping back and forth. Same thing with the 450s as well. But let's go ahead. Let's jump right into this, the 250 class here. So Deegan ends up being the fastest qualifier. Shout out to Maximus Volan, wins the heat. And then Deegan, it kind of started off early for him, ends up passing Anstey and then winning his heat race. And that basically kind of transitioned over into the main event. And boys, we'll just jump right into it. The story of the night was Deegan's pass on Max Anstey. And Justin, we'll start off with you. Where do you put this? Was it too greasy, or was it fair play?
I mean, I just don't think there's a reason to take your teammate out right there. I mean, there was plenty of time left in the race. He's obviously faster. He almost teed him up a couple other times on the track. So, Deegan was definitely faster. He could have got around him clean and not take his teammate out. And, he's just doing what Deegan does, just keep stirring the pot and causing shit to happen that, could potentially bite him in the ass. So, I know next year when he goes to 450s, or actually this year when he goes to 450s, those guys ain't going to put up with it. That's for sure. You ain't doing that at the bar show and getting away.
Now, before I get my take, James, we'll go over to you. Anstey kind of took it on the chin. He said, I knew who I'm racing against. Anstey's a great starter. He's going to be up there even more. But what's your take on the Deegan takeout?
It's hard to tell with this kid whether it's fucking intentional or not. He always says, "Oh, it wasn't intentional." This one is a
I
little
think it's
trickier for me.
intentional.
I think it was
It's all
definitely intentional
intentional.
to a fault, but yeah, I kind of spoke about the lines before. Anstey went like single then double through the rhythm
Hmm.
section before, and Deegan went double triple. So he was ripping into that turn, kind of regardless. So was it avoidable? Yeah, but he was
Yeah,
hauling ass in that turn and he locked up the rear. So maybe he didn't mean to clean him out to that extent. Maybe he's wanted to hit him with a block pass or something. But I'm going, I'm not feeling it was that intentional this time like he did, Davies last year or Shimoda. There might have been a little intention behind it, but it wasn't a full on. I'm putting your ass over the berm and that's it.
Yeah, and I mean, Kitchen ended up doing the same thing to Max Anstey in that same corner, but here's my take, right? It's 250s, right? It is a short championship. What do you do? 8 races if you put in, the shootouts and things like that. If Deegan doesn't take him down to the ground and they just finish 1-2, Anstey still has the red plate and he still has a pretty decent points lead, based off of that first round. Because now Deegan only has a 1 point lead and he took Anstey out. And I think Anstey ended up finishing 8. So to me, I mean, fuck it, whatever, right? I mean, it's a short championship. You took down, obviously, your number one competitor because Kitchen hasn't been shit the whole season. So you take down your main competitor. Honestly, you kind of show him who's boss, as your teammate. And I mean, the biggest thing with Deegan is you just better be ready for whatever Anstey's going to throw back at you, if he does. So he's got to be ready for that payback. But to me, I'm just like, hey, you know what? He look at the outcome of it. He got the red plate. He has the points league now. There's already only 6 races to go. In this title, 4 straight, and then we'll have a couple mixed up in the end. But yeah, to me, I mean, it is what it is. It's racing. People want to complain that these riders are too soft and not being aggressive. Well, this was for the win. This was for the points league. This was to give them a little bit buffer. So I say, fuck it, whatever. I think it's fair game, but he can't get mad if Anstey ends up retaliating, back to him in these later rounds, which he very well could. But I mean, yeah, Deegan looked great, all night long. I think this is the Deegan what we kind of anticipated. Sure, he could have passed him clean, but I mean, if he does, he's still chasing points heading into A2. So I think he just did the job and got it done early. What else?
J-Law
What else did you?
2.0.
Yeah, that's true. A lot more championships though.
Yeah, well,
Brad,
J-Law 2.0 minus the Coke.
yeah,
and the
well,
ankle monitor.
Yeah.
still early, still early to tell.
I mean, he almost had an ankle monitor with that ticket, that felony or
Oh,
that
yeah, when he got
speeding or whatever.
arrested. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. But all right, well, before we get into the good, the bad, and the ugly, James, we'll start off with you. What else stood out to you in this 250 main event?
250 main McAdoo. I think he
Yeah,
rode real good. Come back from A1. Obviously, he finished at A1, but he was a couple laps down after pulling off and getting some bike work. So I liked what I saw from McAdoo. Chance Hymas almost died. That was kind of crazy,
yeah,
but not necessarily
Yeah.
out of character. And then not in the main, but dude, Club MX in the heat, 1-2, Volan
yeah.
Yoder, that was pretty sick. Unfortunately Yoder went down in the main, but that was cool to see them go 1-2 as privateers.
Yeah, and Justin, I know you're gonna love this, but I saw a stat that Yamaha's won every race so far in the 250 class. Every heat, every main event has been the
Blue
Yamaha
Crew, baby.
250. But yeah, back to that Chance Hymas thing. That thing was gnarly. I mean, if you watch the
Yeah,
replay,
dude.
dude, the
I don't
fact
know
that
how
he
he got
even
out of it.
I don't know how.
twice as he was going down to try to speed up the rear wheel so he could bring it up was crazy. But yeah, usually he doesn't save that, and you could tell right after, dude, that it rocked him because it took him a little bit to
Yeah.
rebound, for sure. But I'm surprised that you didn't bring up Kitchen. Justin, we'll go to you. I mean, same shit
Oh,
for Kitchen
I was
once
saving that
again.
for the good, bad, the ugly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
But
I mean,
yeah,
you look at it, he
Kitchen does
shows
what
he has
Kitchen
the
does.
speed, but yeah, it's the same shit. It's his starts again. It puts him in a bad spot. But yeah, Justin, what else stood out to you?
I think just Mosman being consistent again. Just what do you go 5-3 or 4-3?
5-3, yeah,
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 5-3 for him starting it out. I think Mosman the last year and a half, he's kind of turned around since he came back from that back injury, and he's actually kind of proven he can be a little consistent, a lot more often. So it's good to see Mosman back up top when he was pretty much written out, of Supercross and possibly racing ever again, when he had that one injury. So it's cool to see that. So.
yeah, I agree. Anyone that kind of stood out to you that surprised you in the 250 class?
I mean, I think just the heat race. I mean, like you said, Club MX, that stood out. They did that pretty convincingly, and they didn't look like they had any troubles doing it. So, I mean, them going 1-2 in a heat race, that just slowly starts building and, eventually into a main event win, which I think they could get this year, even if it's not on the West Coast, possibly the East Coast, with Shock. So, Club MX is building the program more and more to be even better.
I'm not quite there yet with Shock. I'll be completely honest with you.
I don't know. Hey, it's the
I think he's
bangers. It's the
highly liked. I
bangers.
don't think he's nearly as good as what people think he is, to be honest with you. But he could prove me wrong. But he is a solid dude. He's sick, but I don't know. I think he's kind of plateaued. I don't see him, kind of running out there. But speaking of, Maximus Volan, he ends up getting eighth overall. Dylan Schwartz with a good showing, ninth, and then Anthony Bourdon with 10th. Parker Ross, Lux Turner, 11 to 12, 11 to 13. Really kind of thought those guys were going to have bigger years. Carson Mumford 14th, and then the
I
rest
heard
is
he's
kind of
sick.
what you see here. Who who's
Mumphy.
sick? Oh,
Mumphy
really?
had like a respiratory and an ear infection. He just posted, I think, earlier today.
Okay.
Shit.
I saw, and he's been dealing with that the first two rounds. And I saw him go down. I don't know if it was the heat or the main, but he went off the track on that long rhythm section.
Yeah. But yeah, as you guys touched on, Michael Mosman getting third overall. Now, of course, he had help, right? I mean, you have Levi Kitchen, Max Anstey, and Chance Hymas all had their episodes, in the main event, which definitely, they benefited from him, but still cool to see him up on top. And yeah, I agree, Cameron McAdoo, that's a great showing. He rode pretty good all night long. And then kind of a surprise to me, Ryder D, this is kind of where I had him heading into the season. He finishes with a seventh. I mean, it just kind of shows with this class. If you don't get a good start, it's really hard to kind of move up in the field, and that's kind of exactly what happened with Ryder D. But all right, anything else before we get into the good, the bad, and the ugly of this 250 class? All right, James, we will start off with you. We'll start off with the good. Who do you have as the good performance in the
Good.
250
I
class?
already touched on it a little bit. I'm going McAdoo. Great save from the week prior. He rode good. He looked like he had speed, or he had the speed the whole race. So I'm going with McAdoo. Moseman again. Was secondary good. 5-3. He held it together. Another top five and a podium for him. So those are my two good rides for the week. Bad. Uh, or you want to do good, bad, and ugly all at
Yeah,
once? Or
we'll
you're gonna
go.
go
Yeah,
through?
we'll do the good. We'll get Justin's here next. But yeah, I agree with you. The McAdoo, I have him as my good performance too. My only question is, can he replicate this? Or is he going to be able to, kind of carry the spin and be on the box, or was he just kind of like based off the circumstances with Anstey, Kitchen, and Hymas? That's why he ended up getting on the podium, very much like a Mosman. I mean, he's shown in the past he has speed, but I don't know. I don't think he actually has that full speed yet. But what do you think? Do you think we're going to see McAdoo back up here in second or on the box anytime
I
soon
think
again?
so.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, with
definitely.
Kitchen, dude, it's we're saying Kitchen gave him a break, but Kitchen hasn't really done shit. Is he really
Yeah,
giving him a break, or is this how Kitchen's gonna ride? And
true.
Anstey, he rode good last week. Got kind of caught up in some shit this week, but Chance Hymas is always a wild card, so McAdoo could be up in the running. This might not have been a crazy fluke week to get him up there.
Yeah. Justin, over to you. Who do you guys your good performance out of the
I was
250 class?
I was gonna do McAdoo as well. I just think he's got back to the speed quicker than I thought he would. He missed a lot of time with a bunch of injuries. I mean, he's got a 3-digit number this year. I mean, it's weird to think of how
Mm-hmm.
far up he was on numbers, and now he's got a 3-digit number. So the fact he's up to the speed again, and he's rode decent, the last two rounds. He got taken out in the first round, but he was still riding good at that point. So it's good to see him looking like he's starting to be a little bit more consistent. Last week definitely wasn't his fault, and then this week he just backs it up with a second.
Yeah, we talked about it last week. I mean, he started off good at A1, but then for some reason he started falling back. So it's good to see him put in a full main event and hang up there at the top. So definitely progress. All right, Justin, who you got for your bad performance?
Ooh, that one's tough, but I think I'm just gonna have to go with Anstey. The bad. I mean, you just like you kind of said, he took it on the chin, but you kind of got to know that's Deegan's thing. Deegan shouldn't have done it, but that definitely cost you a lot of points in that championship, not being able to stay off the ground. He was able to salvage
Twice.
fifth, yeah, twice. I mean, he was able to salvage fifth. But you just got to stay up front. With these championships being so short, like you mentioned earlier.
Okay. I'm not quite there with Anstey yet. He's the next on my
Just
list here.
well, this ride is the bad, not bad for the season. Just this ride, this race.
Oh no, I'm saying I got him as my ugly, but we'll get to that.
Um,
But bad,
Teddy's
we kind of
British.
touched up on it. I'm going to say Ryder D. He had all that momentum from last week. It takes a step back to seventh, and then you could put Kitchen in there too. But I mean, Kitchen still at least got his way up to fourth from being dead last. I mean, him and Sexton had a very similar night. But yeah, I'm going to give it to Ryder D. I thought maybe 8-1 was him kind of taking a step in the right direction, but this just kind of looked like typical Ryder D. He didn't get the start, and he just kind of stayed where he was. James, who you got for the bad?
Yeah, I'm going with you on that one, Eric. Ryder D. Had a good showing at A1. Might have just been luck, but this looked like he got caught mid pack and kind of just held that pace the whole race, and that was that. Like you said, typical Ryder D. Nothing too impressive.
Nope. All right. What about the ugly for this 250 class? What do you got, James?
I'm going Kitchen, dude. He's
All
although
right.
he rode back up and he did ride a good ride and wound up in fourth. Tuck in the front, or he says he hit a tough block. I'm not sure I saw that in when we were watching. Maybe I'm missing something, but putting it down in the first turn again is just typical
Hmm.
Kitchen, dude. And maybe he probably could have been a podium guy, maybe if he didn't do that shit. But this is typical Kitchen. I'm giving him the ugly because this is just kind of repetition from what we've seen in years past and earlier this season, and who knows if it's going to change.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly the opposite of how you beat Deegan in the championship. Deegan had a rough A1, Kitchen had it even worse, and then Deegan goes up and wins, and then Kitchen has another rough night. So, yeah, I mean, Kitchen's already slowly removing himself from this title fight, of course, barring anything happening to Deegan or Anstey. But all right, I like it. I kind of touch up on it. I have Anstey as the ugly. I mean, he got bullied. I mean, Deegan, punked him in that turn, took him down, and then Kitchen came back around and did the same exact thing to him in that same corner. Now he said he had an issue with his clutch or whatever, but at the end of the day, man, you're 32 years old and you're letting these 20-something-year-old kids push you around on the track. I mean, that's not a good look. So I'm really looking to see him bounce back at A2, and who knows, he might be my winner pick for A2. Justin, who you got for the ugly in this 250 class?
I'm going Levi Kitchen, like pretty much James touched on. You can't be tucking your front 2 races in a row like that. You just can't do
Yep.
it. It's in the ugliest way you can almost start season. You can't even make it to the first corner. He's trying to pull an Austin Forkner, so you can't be doing that. Yeah, that's the ugly. Simple as that. James kind of touched on it all. Just bad, ugly.
All right. All right, let's jump over into the 450 class. Definitely some interesting storylines that happen in this race. First off, Sexton comes out of the gate, looks great in his heat race. Qualifying was a shit show. The first section didn't even count. But hey, he hunts down Prado. I thought Prado maybe was going to get another heat win, but Sexton looked good. But let's jump into this main event. Justin, you touched up on it. Tomac goes 2 for 2 to start off the season. But my question to you guys, and Justin will start off you, is it the fact that Tomac is riding just that good, which I'll admit he is riding better than probably anyone expected to be on the KTM, or is it just Sexton riding that badly? Neither one of these guys have seen each other on the track in the battle, and to be honest, if you remove Sexton from this title hunt in general from the get go, Tomac's the favorite, and I think we all agree Tomac's going to beat Hunter, Roxon 9 out of 10 times. So is this just Tomac just handling business that he would in general, and just Sexton just being that far off, or do you think no, doesn't matter even with Sexton up there, Tomac's still going to be able to handle business?
I mean, I think it's a little bit of both, to be honest. I mean, Tomac's looking good. It doesn't sound like he's having bike issues at all. The KTM's holding up for him. He looks super smooth and, like you said, way faster than I think any of us thought he's going to look this early in it. And then Sexton, I mean, he's not riding well. A1 was a shit show. I mean, San Diego, he hits the fucking gate again. How?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how
Yep.
do you do that? I mean, I've never even hit the gate, and I fucking can barely get off the line.
Oh yeah,
But it's
I never
just
done that in
like,
beginner class.
Yep.
yeah, yeah, still there. But it's just like, Sexton, what are you doing? Like, you show you're fast in, your heat race like that, and then it just seems like when this track is getting rough in the end of the night, his bike's completely not where it should be, or he fucks up and makes a mistake. So he's still a mental head case, same Chase Sexton, just on another brand in a different color.
Yeah, we'll get to Chase Sexton, but let me ask you this. How concerned are you with the fact that Hunter Lawrence was able to narrow that gap on Tomac. I mean, Tomac was cruising for a little bit, but I mean, Tomac said that he wasn't even looking for Hunter, so maybe he just wasn't paying attention, maybe riding it in a little too too easy. But I mean, we all talked about Hunter. I mean, to me, he's still far from a title contender. But I don't know, how concerned were you just the fact of how that race ended, that Hunter was able to catch up and made it close on Eli.
Yeah, I think like kind of like what Eli said, he didn't even hear Hunter because he did definitely look like he was starting to cruise it and mail it in a little bit. So and then like he said in the post race, one of the post race videos, he's like, I looked and I saw a red fender and I was like, holy crap, I didn't even hear him. So
Hmm.
I think that definitely was the issue. I don't think it was Tomac, getting caught. I mean, obviously got caught, but I think it's just because he was kind of cruising in. He knew only had like 2 laps left, and he was able to turn it up. I mean, and was able to finish it. So
Yeah, still kind of uncharacteristic, with Eli and the experience that he has, to just kind of lose sight of who's in second place, or not letting him know on the pit board or whatever that was definitely kind of interesting. But James, over to you. Same question to you: is the Tomac riding this good, or is it Sexton just not living up to the hype yet?
I think similar to Justin, I think it's a little bit of both. Tomac's definitely shredding that KTM, dude. He looks fast. He's not making or many mistakes, if any mistakes at all. He's got it on rails. But Sexton is also riding like absolute dog shit. Like you kind of just touched on it. Hunter Lawrence started catching Tomac, whether that was him mailing it in or not. Hunter
Hmm.
was catching him. If Tomac or not Tomac, if Sexton's running at full tilt and full health, he's going to be battling Tomac that whole race, and he might get around him if that's the
Yep.
case with Tomac. It's kind of hard to tell right now, but I'm going to say it's a mixture of both, and I think I'd even lean more towards Sexton riding worse than Tomac ripping that KTM.
Yeah, so that's where I'm gonna lean. I think it just Sexton riding worse. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, Sexton was dead last. He got the eighth place in like a lap and a half. So he shows the speed, but we all know that when Tomac has good starts like this, he has a great chance of winning. We'll see what he can do if he comes through the pack. But to me, I got to see these two battle head to head for me to really kind of see what level Tomac is at. Because we've talked about it before. I mean, Tomac beat Roxon, in WSX. He's always beat Hunter. Hunter's never been a problem. So to me, I just think Tomac's just waiting to see if Sexton's going to get up there, and then we're really going to see, what level Eli Tomac is at. Because for all we know, Sexton could get out there and just completely check out and win by 8 seconds. We might be like, well, shit, maybe Tomac's not as good as
Yeah,
what we
we've
thought,
seen that
because Sexton
before.
just blew his doors off. But once again, I mean, we talked about ugly start for Sexton, hitting the gate. He's already making these mental mistakes, and I don't know. I'm just waiting for this dude to kind of chill out and just kind of put a race together, which A2 definitely might be there. I think at this point, I don't know if the pressure's getting worse for him, or maybe the pressure's kind of came off because of how bad of his starts have been. But I think of the points, I think he's like 17 points down or something like that. So I mean, title's still far from over, but yeah, I mean Sexton, I mean, to me, he's got to win A2, honestly. I think for him to kind of get any of this momentum back, if Tomac gets out there and wins 3 in a row, because to be honest, I don't see anyone else beating Tomac. Roxon had the opportunity at A1, Tomac hunt him down, and then this week, Hunter had the chance and he wasn't able to get it done either. So I don't know. I think Sexton's got to come out and win A2 to get that going. Um, let's talk about Cooper Webb. I mean, it's been a very interesting kind of start for him. Obviously, he had some bad luck with Chase Sexton as well. But let's talk about that pass. The pass that Chase Sexton had on Cooper Webb. Um, Justin, we'll start off with you. Where do you fall with that? Was it a little too aggressive? I mean, comparing it to what Deegan did to Anstey, obviously not teammates, but I don't know. Where do you put that? Was it a little crossing the line, or you think that was fair play?
I mean, I think he definitely came in a little hot, but I mean, Sexton was on a freaking heater. He was moving quick through the pack and everything like that. So, um, yeah, I mean, it was. I don't think Webb was really expecting it as much. I think Sexton just came in a lot higher than Webb thought, and got collected. And Webb to let that happen is very unusual. Webb's normally not letting people come inside like that and take him out. So I don't think he maybe even realized he was there that close.
Yeah, and James, over to you. I mean, kind of a rough start for Cooper Webb too. I mean, he ends up getting, what was it, eighth this round. I
Ace,
think it was
yeah.
pretty similar in A1. So not a great start for him. Looks like he's out there and he's, being kind of feisty, but I mean, yeah, he's hitting the ground a lot more than what we usually see.
Yeah, he's definitely hitting the ground more than we've seen in years past for sure. But I feel like Cooper Webb usually starts off a little slower than most, and makes those crazy half the season comebacks. Once he gets those East Coast rounds, dude, that's when he starts picking it up and chasing down the title. In terms of what happened with him and Sexton, dude, I don't know. Sexton was just on a ripper and kind of came in a little aggressive. I'm not sure Sexton knew he was getting that close to him, so. And then or Webb just wasn't expected. I don't know, but it's kind of hard to tell with Sexton. Who knows if he had fucking control of the bike or not? But yeah, that's my take on
Does he
Cooper Webb.
ever?
I think
Yeah.
Cooper Webb's going to turn up the Jets, but it usually takes him a few rounds to get the blood flowing.
Yeah, I mean, looking back at last year, Cooper Webb went 4-3 in the first 2 rounds. And then he had an eighth in Anaheim too, and then a second in Glendale. So definitely, off to a much rougher start than what he was last year. Kind of already being the hole. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how he's gonna bounce back. And the next rider I have on my list to talk about was Jorge Prado. James, we'll start off with you. To me, this is kind of a little bit of a back to reality. He didn't get the start. He kind of got messed up with Sexton, but I mean, if you're gonna say podium top five guy, you got to be able to make your way through this pack. I mean, finishing behind RJ Hampshire, which he hasn't looked great.
Yeah.
Jason Anderson, Malcolm just got landed on, but I don't know. To me, this is kind of more of, I think, a realistic for Prado. But it's just, if he gets the start, he'll probably be up there in the top five. But if he doesn't, I just don't think he has the speed to get through this pack.
Yeah, this is the product that I was expecting to see when we did the pre-show. Kind of similar to last year. He's not getting the start. He's not going to get shit done. He was battling back there with Justin Hill.
Yep.
Um, that's after last week's performance and his heat race performance and qualifying. You think
Yeah.
he's got the speed, he can do it, but he gets stuck in that mid pack, mid class, and kind of just paces who's around him. He doesn't really push himself. He can't work his way back up. So without a start, Prado's fucked, and I think this is going to be the more normal Prado that we see for this season.
Do you think it's
Yeah.
because
And
of his racecraft? Like his racecraft here is so new in Supercross. He's just maybe not quite learned how he needs to really race Supercross.
Yeah, I think that's definitely part of it, dude.
yeah.
Like coming from GP, that's such a different animal and such a different riding style. So he might just need to be, someone's got to sit him down and tell him to be aggressive. I don't know. He's got to switch something if he wants to be a fighting contender without, getting a whole shot.
Yeah, I mean, the only mid pack that he's experienced is when he quits in outdoors. So, he doesn't have any
Yeah.
success fighting his way through. But yeah, to me, I mean, I kind of threw out a comment when we started watching, live time and qualifying when it's rutted. I think the ruts are going to be a problem for him in Supercross. I think qualifying, the track's relatively smooth. The heat races, the track smooth. A1 was pretty hard packed, not very rutted, and he thrived. But I think as we get into these rutted Supercross tracks, I think he's going to get really uncomfortable. And I think this is where we might see, even if he does get a start, I still think we might see him kind of drop back a few as these trucks get a little rutted, because it's a completely different ball game when you're jumping through those rhythms, and it's rut to rut, especially as you get into the East Coast. So. Yeah, Justin, what about you? What was your opinion on this Prado performance?
I think, like you guys said, it's kind of right where we expected. He flashed in qualifying again, but I mean, race is what really matters. A lot of these guys have been Kitchen looked good in qualifying, and then shit the bag in the main. So if you can't do it in the main, it really don't matter. So like you said, I think the ruts are going to be interesting for him. Like what's going to happen when we go to Seattle and it's snowing. I mean, these East Coast tracks are going to be deep, Indy. So, like I said, it's going to be a
Yep.
struggle for him. And I think he's just going to stay mid pack, really, unless he gets some crazy start or a mud race like San Francisco that one time in that heat race.
Yeah. Yep. No, that's very true. The next guy I have here on this list is Joey Savatgy, and shout out to him. I mean, he rode great all night long. I actually had him in a fantasy league, so he did pretty well. But he was riding fourth for a while, ended up finishing fifth. But I mean, this is solid. I mean, you think about looking at Justin Cooper, AP, Cooper Webb. Those guys seem to be kind of off to a sluggish start. I mean, James will start off. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we keep seeing Sabachi up here battling for, that top five. I don't see him getting to a podium, but until these guys can kind of pick it up, I mean, shoot, why not Sabachi, battling up there for top fives?
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you, Eric. Savachi's always kind of been in that ninth, 10th mix from what I remember from years past. But like you said, J Coop qualifies well. He can't get shit done in the mains. AP is kind of doing what AP does, seventh, eighth, ninth, wherever he's at. Cooper Webb, if he doesn't pick it up, he's got a couple guys that he's looking faster than right now. And I think
Hmm.
Savachi will be up in that 5, 6 range for a couple, or it could be many more races depending on how if everyone starts getting their shit together. It'll be fun to see how Savachi does on he's on that quad lock Honda, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so
Justin,
FXR
what do you
Honda.
think?
FXR, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. What do you think, Joe Savachi? You think it's just kind of like a one time thing, or do you think it's someone who might see a little bit more consistency?
I mean, I think I could see him flashing it, a couple more times this year. I mean, normally at the end of the year, he has some solid rides when a couple people are out, so I can see it definitely happening for him. I still think he got screwed over a few years ago when he had that Cali ride filled in, and then they filled it and he didn't get it, next year. So I think Savachi, though, I think it's a good ride for him. Maybe his best ride of the year. I think
Yeah.
fifth is going to be the highest he's going to get, in a season,
Yeah.
but I can see him
Yeah.
getting maybe one or two more this year for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you. And then shout out to Malcolm. Obviously he lines up after that gnarly crash. I wasn't sure what he was going to look like if he's going to be hurt and not be able to hang on, but I mean, finishing 10th after what happened in A1 is pretty respectable. And then I gotta shout out your boy Jason Anderson with an 11th. Right in his place of where I think we'll see him fairly often. Um, I think my podium bet's going to be
I
pretty
was,
safe after
I
watching
was gonna
this
say
week.
that I say the biggest worry was A1 downhill the rest
Yeah.
of the year.
Yep. And then RJ, with the 12th, to me, I'm actually been kind of disappointed with RJ. Maybe I just had way too high hopes. This is technically his rookie year on, a 450 Supercross, but he looked so good outdoors. I thought maybe he'd be up there battling for like top fives, but man, I don't know. I think a 10th is kind of going to be a bit of a reach for him. Justin, where are you at with RJ?
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be real interesting. I didn't think he was gonna look this bad. I mean, I don't think we expected what happened at A1, but maybe his first full Supercross ride in the whole race, not having to stop. I thought he'd be top 10 for sure this year. So maybe he can crack the top 10. But it's going to be tough for him. There's a lot of solid guys in that top 10. There's no slouches in there at all. And I think, yeah, outdoors definitely shocked a lot of us.
Yeah, and then James, I mean, I just, compare him to like a Dylan Ferrandis that's riding a brand new bike out there. He's looked pretty decent. If you would have asked me, I probably would have put, RJ ahead of Ferrandis heading into the season, but where are you at with RJ?
Yeah, man, I really had high hopes for RJ. I thought I picked him as my surprise rider for the season. I thought he was gonna be a fifth, sixth, seventh consistent guy this season. He rode good in 250s. He had that fill-in race on a 450, was it
Mm-hmm.
last season or 2 years ago, and he
Yeah,
won
one
a
of
heat
80.
race. So
Yeah.
like I thought that
Daytona, I
was gonna
believe.
kind of yeah, it was Daytona. So I was expecting more from RJ, and then you might be right, Eric. A top 10, not 10th or ninth might be a season high for RJ. I'm not sure what it is. He hasn't really been doing any battles or anything. He hasn't really been on TV, to be honest.
Even his
Yeah.
qualifying hasn't been
Yeah,
great either.
but I haven't really watched much of RJ, where we're used to seeing a lot more of him.
The
From the
most
outdoor
TV time
season
we
is
saw was
obviously.
him in the pits.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Yep.
yeah, I'd like to see him do better, but from what I saw in these first 2 weeks, I'm not seeing him as a top five guy this season, or maybe a top 10 guy this season.
Yeah, I mean, of course, barring any injuries, of course, but I mean,
Right.
if the field stays healthy, I think this is where he's going to be, sitting for a while. But I don't know. I mean, you look at what Savachi's doing. I mean, Rockstar Husky might want to give Savachi a call here, try to fill in or something, because
Yeah, or Dylan Ferrandis, man, ripping that
yeah,
Ducati.
yep. All right. Anything else in this 450 class before we get to the good, the bad, and the ugly? All right, let's jump into it. James, we'll start off with you. What do you got as the good performance out of this 450 class?
I'm going Hunter Lawrence. Pulled the whole shot and started sneaking up on Tomac at the end. He looked good, looked better than I was anticipating, and I know it's better than you were anticipating, Eric, for a Supercross race. So yeah, Hunter Lawrence is getting my good ride.
Okay. Justin, what do you got for your good ride?
My good ride. I mean, great ride. Eli Tomac, back to back, going 2 for 2 for the year.
That's a
Um,
given.
yeah. So, yeah. I mean, just Tomac, he's staying consistent. I think this was the big question: is he going to be able to keep doing this? And he's staying up front. He battled Kenny and took the lead and stayed there and won the race.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue with Tomac, right? Going back to back, looked pretty good. And it doesn't get the whole shot, had to put some work in to get there, but he got the job done. And Hunter, I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with his performance, right? I mean, he was stuck behind Kenny for a while, just like he was stuck behind Anderson. So maybe he just needs to get a little bit more aggressive. But yeah, I mean, good ride for Hunter. He ended up making it interesting, there at the end. I still think he has a ways to go to get to that win. I think it's going to be one of those he's going to have to get the whole shot, and Tomac and
He's
Sexton
gonna
are
have
going to
to
have to
check
be,
out, and
yeah, those guys are
yeah,
going to have to be pretty buried, in the back of the pack for him to have a chance. But who knows? I mean, we'll definitely see what happens there. My good performance, I had to give it to Joey Savacci. Tomac winning is nothing new, but Joey Savacci getting a fifth place is definitely something that we don't usually see. So shout out to Savacci and getting that fifth place. Justin, who you got for your bad performance? Oh, are you there? Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
There you
What about
go.
now?
yeah.
All right. I'm gonna go Cooper Webb. Another bad race for him. I mean, back-to-back weeks. Not getting a great start. He fell on the ground this week. I know he got taken out a little bit, but I mean, being the defending champ, you got to start out a little bit better than 7th and 8th. So his best chance at a title this year is if Tomac and Sexton both get hurt, or Sexton DNS or something like that. He's putting himself way too behind.
Well, even at this rate, I don't know. I mean, Hunter and Aaron and Roxon have been looking better than him. We talked about it. If he's going to repeat, I feel like he's got to get off to a hot start and win in the first four rounds. And so far, it ain't looking like that's going to happen. So,
50,
yeah, I think that's a good
55%
pick.
repeating.
Yeah, he hasn't been on since, so maybe he's eating
Yeah.
his words there.
Yeah.
All right, James, who you got for your bad performance?
I'm going Jason Anderson. Compared to how he rode at A1, it was kind of I wasn't. He showed speed at A1. I was like, man, maybe he can be a guy that holds it. But now this is the Jason Anderson that I was kind of anticipating to see before A1. 11th place, nothing really spectacular. Kind of just rode a mid-pack race. Didn't really do shit. So Jason Anderson is getting my bad ride.
All right. For me, I put Sexton. I'm not quite going to put it as an ugly because he still got up to fourth and he still showed some flashes of speed. He just got to get a decent start, very similar to like Kitchen. If he gets a top five start, I think he has a great chance of winning against this field. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to give it bad. You can't hit the gate. I think I keep hearing that he hit the gate in San Diego last year too. So way too common of a mistake for someone as elite as him. So I gave him the bad performance. Uh, Justin, ugly. Who you got for your ugly?
Chase Sexton. Just hitting the
Harsh.
gate, that's ugly as can be. I mean, you're a
He
pro.
got
I mean,
fourth. He got
I don't
fourth.
care. He could have won if he didn't hit the fucking gate with the way he went from 22nd to 8th.
It's like
True.
I
Kitchen
mean,
could have won if he didn't tuck the front, dude.
yeah,
It's
True.
I
like
mean,
PC curse.
shoulda, coulda, woulda, Cowie curse.
Yep.
It's just, yeah,
Okay.
Chase Sexton, you just can't be hitting the gate as being an elite rider like that. I mean, how many starts do you do throughout the week? Probably at least over 100. Probably, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
He's trying to guess and get lucky and get
I
that
think
Yeah,
yeah, I think
job.
this ain't
he
Michael
wanted it a
Lessie.
little bit too hard. Yeah, a little bit too hard and trying to guess and it did not work out, which it usually doesn't. All right, James, who you got? Who's your ugly performance at San Diego?
Prado. Prado.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just run of the mill Prado is what I was thinking we were gonna see, although he did ride good in the qualifying in the heat. Just goes to show if he doesn't get the start, he's not gonna get it done. He's my ugly
Yep.
ride.
Yep, I have the same. I have Prado as well. I mean, if you're going to be an elite rider, and especially after what we saw at A1, like you said, the heat races, second fastest in the qualifying. But I mean, you can't make your way through this pack. That's pretty disappointing, for sure. So back to reality for him, and we'll see what happens with the A2. if he gets another start and hangs up there. But yeah, you got to be able to come through the pack if you're a factory rider like Prado. All right. Um, so that's all we got as far as San Diego 2 and the racing. There's a lot of great stories in both classes. But now let's look ahead over into Anaheim 2, have the track map pulled up. Kind of talked about it before. They do have a big sand section that's back. Looks like maybe a little bit of a split section. I talked about this at A1, looking at the San Diego track. It seems like these whoop sections into rhythms might be a new thing that they're trying to do. We have a lot of really long sections in here, right across from
Yeah, this
home
track is
plate.
gnarly.
This looks
Yeah, there's
sick,
a,
dude. This looks like a
This is
video
way
game
better than
track you
A1.
want.
There's
yeah,
that split section kind of right behind the sand over there. Looks like you can
yeah,
go outside line or like through that. Looks like a double or maybe just a roll or anthill or something
Yeah.
through there.
yeah. Kind of an interesting first turn. It kind of gets like flat a little bit.
Yeah,
It kind of
it's
turns
kind
flat
of
and then turns
similar
again.
to well, didn't A1 have a turn? Oh no, it wasn't as 180 at A1. But yeah, it's an
Yeah.
interesting first turn. That's pretty tight.
But yeah, some really big, rhythms here in here could definitely be separate. I think this is going to be another long lap times here. But yeah, I mean, I like the creativity that they're doing with these tracks so far. Justin, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the track looks sick. I mean, like I just said earlier, it looks like a video game track. I mean, it makes you want to go fire
Yeah.
up and, wish it was on reflex or
Fire up
live
some
from back in the
reflex.
day. And, like it just looks like you said, it does look like a long lap time, long rhythm sections. Um, I think it's cool. They're starting to do a lot more, I think, with some of these tracks, it looks like this year. It's definitely getting more creative. It's not kind of cookie cutter, but I feel like the last maybe 2 to 3 years, a lot of the tracks are very basic, pretty simple. They're almost the same from week to week, just to put in a different spot. So I like what they're doing with the tracks this year, and I think this track's possibly going to race really well with how long the rhythms and stuff are and 180 turns.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to. We obviously saw it at San Diego too, but yeah, there's a lot of 180 turns in here, which is always good for passing. That sand section is going to be tough, man. It's just a giant U-turn, and they're
Yeah.
going to come in there with a lot of speed, and they're going to exit out with a lot of speed too. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting. I'm curious to see how this split lane is going to look. I mean, looking at this picture, that outside is really wide. So I'm curious to see how much of a factor that's going to play, and how that's going to hold up. It's also kind of an off camber as well. So even if you go
Yeah,
to the
it's
inside, you're probably going to float to the outside anyways.
It looks like
Um,
a wall though,
but
like
yeah,
a little wall on the inside though. So it depends.
yeah,
It
it
may be
could be.
faster to rip that outside because it looks like a little wall and then like it's a
yeah,
little
it's like a little
roller. So
little
so
double
if
or
you
something. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you can rail that outside and triple, double, it's probably a lot quicker, possibly. So it'd be cool, interesting how it works out, like you said.
Yeah, no, I agree. And James, anything else as far as this track map that you're seeing that you're
No,
looking
this
forward to?
track is sick. I think with all these long rhythms again, similar to kind of last week and even A1 and the whoop section into the rhythm, there's going to be a lot of different lines that could be taken, a lot of different jump styles depending on who's riding it. And I think that sand section is going to be deep and long. It's going to eat people up. I think they're going to see some guys going down in the sand. It's going to shake things up a little bit.
Yeah, when they do this to these whoop sections where they put obstacles at the end of it, you know, it kind of hurts those guys that are great at riding whoops. Anstey kind of talked about the table at San Diego that you can't just hold it wide and blitz through it because otherwise you're just going to plow into,
Yeah,
the jump that's right
you
ahead
gotta
of you.
check up at like the last two or three rather than just
That's so
fucking railing.
sketchy.
Yeah, so
Just get off the
Fat
throttle at the
and then
halfway through.
yeah, and then triple out. Like that's kind of a crazy line. I like
yeah,
it, but I don't see how this is any safer than a Dragon's back failed with the
Yeah, I know.
front.
They're
if
expecting like
anything, it just maybe
expecting a
it
triple
encourages them
quad.
to. Yeah. If anything, I mean, it's right out of a 90-degree too, so we might
I
see
think
a
it's gonna
lot
be
of guys
slow.
jumping because they're not going to have
Yeah.
a huge run into
Yeah.
it, bull turn. So it could be a lot of jumpers, just kind of based off looking at that. Well, all right, let's get into our Anaheim 2 picks. Uh, Justin, we'll start with you. Who do you got for your 250 and 450 winner heading into Anaheim?
I think 250, with looking at what the track looks like, I think this is definitely going to scream a Deegan track. If you're going to be aggressive on this track, send these big rhythms, it's probably going to play out for you really well. There's these big 180 turns, which Deegan's pretty fast at railing, and he ain't scared to come up
Hmm.
on the inside and take you out. So I hate to say it, but I think Deegan's going to win this week. And then for 450, I would love to say Tomac's going to go 3 for 3, but I think this is going to be a Sexton thing. I think, like you said earlier, Sexton has to win this week to pretty much salvage
Hmm.
this title. And he's got a lot of haters and a lot of people talking that he's got to shut up. This Cali was supposed to be the new beautiful big thing that he could ride, and he just ain't showing up.
Yeah, all right. I like it. James, who you got for Anaheim 2?
Yeah, similar to Justin for 250. Deegan, this is a tight track with big lines and big jumps that he can be aggressive through. There's a lot of 180 turns that he can take people out or, do his block classes, whatever he's got to do. I think it's very well suited to his riding ability and his riding style. So I think Deegan's going to take it home for the 250. For 450, I think Eli Tomac is going 3 for 3.
Dang.
I think he's got a full head of steam going, and you can't be stopped unless Sexton might pick it up. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't really know what to think about Sexton, but I'm picking Tomac going 3 for 3. He's gonna get it done. Cali
All
boy.
right.
Well, he's not from Cali, but this is 3 Cali races. He's gonna win.
All right. Yeah, I agree with you. I think Deegan, I think he's going to have the confidence kind of settled. I think he wants to bounce back and get a win in Anaheim too. But yeah, I'm with you. The 450 class, I'm kind of torn. I look at this track. There's a lot of shit for Sexton to worry about here. Maybe it's good.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll keep him focused because of all the obstacles that he's going to have to focus on. Whoops tend to be his strength. This is going to make him, kind of jump it a little bit. But I think I'm gonna just kind of lean with you, Justin. I think Sexton's got to get it figured out here eventually. And this is a long track, a lot of obstacles, a lot of rhythms. I think he's just gonna go out there, just kind of piece it together. But I could also see, Sexton just kind of finishing in a second or third, and
11th
still,
or something,
being
too, I
right
could
there.
see.
I can
Yeah,
also
right.
see him tucking the front in that sand and
Yeah,
coming
that sand
13th.
section eating them the fuck up, dude.
Yeah,
I can so see it
Yeah.
like 4
yeah. I mean,
times.
Yeah, he
this
just can't
track is.
figure it out, dude.
It's
This track is really gonna test it and just kind of see what these guys got, because there's a lot of elements into this, and these guys are gonna be fighting bike setup all night long. Um, but all right. Anything else before we wrap it up? All right. Well, thanks again for listening in. Of course, you can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, and YouTube. We'll have this posted. But yeah, looking ahead, looking forward to Anaheim 2. See what else we can happen out there on the track, and see if we can get some more stories heading into next week. But that's all we got. We'll see you later.